The story begins with a battered little boy sitting against the wall on a silent and peaceful night when a glowing blonde-haired boxer raises his hopes to be at the top of all the boxers. One day, the legendary trainer of 5 boxing world champions Kei meets a guy named Beekson Ryu while visiting a friend's gym while traveling. Just upon looking at Ryu, he knew that the boy has quite the potential, so he chose Steele to go against him, who was the number 3 super middleweight in the country. Steele was surprised to see Kei in the gym, and Ryu added the weirdness even more by showing vast confidence in front of him. It seems that the gym coach knew about Ryu from the start, since he has already seen him in action once. The movements made by Ryu were out of this world, as it was all about his own freedom, which proved that Ryu had a God-gifted talent. Even when the lack of experience was noticed, Kei and his friend knew that Ryu had the potential to become a champion. When Kei was continuing the discussion with his friend, they noticed some guys bullying a pale white kid with black hair in the alley. Kei noticed the peculiarity in the behavior of the kid, as he didn't even want to dodge the punch of his bullies. Kei's friends started punishing the bullies when Kei decided to have a chat with the peculiar kid who was getting bullied. Kei had an intuition, so he decided to test it out on the strange kid, which got proven instantly when he dodged the punch. Then Kei explained to him the idea of learning how to box, but the kid wasn't interested in fame and dominance. Kei answers his questions by saying that reaching high is all that matters to find out what someone's worth is. When the kid was leaving, Kei reminded him that he only has 1 month to reach him at the gym, as he will have to leave soon. Meanwhile, the strange kid and Ryu seemed to be in the same school, while Ryu was busy extorting a weak kid named Jay with his friends. Yu and Jay were considered to be weak by Ryu and his whole friend circle. They were both constantly tortured and harassed by them every day in school. After getting warned by the gym coach, they decided to leave Yu alone while they kept assaulting Jay even at lunchtime. One day, when Yu and Jay were sitting and chatting together while watching Ryu and the others playing football, just when Ryu was about to use the football to hit Jay in the face, Yu saved him by grabbing the ball mid-air. Seeing that, Jay was furious as he continued hitting and warning him for getting in his way. Jay couldn't forgive himself for getting Yu involved in his fight, as he remembered his dad in his childhood. He regretted being a loser and not standing up for Yu, even after promising that he will be his friend. That night, Jay couldn't sleep as he was conflicted about what to do with Ryu, since he is way stronger than everyone around him. Conflicted, Jay asked his father for advice on what to do against stronger opponents, since he used to be a boxer in his younger days. Meanwhile, Ryu was waiting for Yu on the way to his home, as he was able to get his address from the homeroom teacher. When Yu was avoiding Ryu, he bashes his head on the ground, but Yu doesn't even complain or fight back. Ryu leaves the place, giving him the warning to ruin his life, and at the same time, he demanded Yu to bring $150 by the next day. On the way, some people were looking for Ryu to teach him a lesson, but they ended up being smeared on the ground. Later that night, silent and quiet, Yu stayed awake with his pet cat on his lap as he kept staring into the dark. The next morning, Jay decides to change his lifestyle as he tried to start new, and he tried not to be scared by his bullies. After looking in the class for a while, he noticed that Yu was absent from the classroom. Meanwhile, Yu was getting beaten to a pulp by Ryu and his gang inside the gym storeroom, as he didn't bring the money he was supposed to give him. Jay couldn't help himself from shouting at them after seeing them using Yu like a punching bag. He ends up going to a boxing stance, and he started punching the guy in front of him just like he used to get trained by his dad as a child. The incident brought Ryu in front of him to get into the fight, as his guy was bloodied. The real fight was about to begin as Ryu stepped in front of Jay, and the guy who never fought his bullies back was losing his shit. Jay tries to calm himself down and just do as he planned beforehand, which was to corner him with successive blows, hoping that he can get a single punch in while he is off guard. But the chance never came up, and at the same time, he was running out of breath when his punch should be accurate and bold. Jay froze up in an instant when he gets punched by Ryu, which brought a wave of fear, and the next slam got him down to the ground. Jay realized that Ryu was on an entirely different level, and when his realization hit him, his mind started going blank. Jay stands up on his own again to follow Plan B, raising his guard to hold off his attacks, which can lead to Ryu getting tired. Plan B wasn't helping Jay at all, since Ryu started piercing through his defense with his unbearable punches. When the chance of hitting Ryu finally came, he gathers all his strength to hit him, which also fails as Ryu's skills were way beyond his capabilities. Knocked down, Jay kept remembering his dad's moments in his boxing career, and even though his head was spinning, he got up once again. Every time Jay got knocked down, he got up once again to face his opponent with the encouragement given by his father. He wanted to be a true boxer, so he decided to act like one to face his fear. Overconfident Ryu started beating on the knockdown Jay with the greed of proving himself better, but Jay claimed that he wanted to be a boxer with his new change. Ryu wasn't backing off from beating Jay down as he gets insulted by him. Suddenly, bloodied and tired, Yu comes out from the dark asking them if hitting people is fun or not. On the other hand, Kei was really confident about Ryu before meeting Yu, but after meeting the strange kid eye to eye, he knew that Yu was a different kind of monster as shivers ran down his spine. Just like Kei anticipated, Yu started smashing everyone around him like he was some kind of god looking down on the peasants. Finally, everyone around Ryu fell down on the ground facing Yu in front of them, and he was the only one left standing. The explanation made by Kei was being painted accurately just as he described him. Mad and insane Ryu faces Yu with the hope of putting him down, but one shot that was taken by Yu ended up getting Ryu scared shitless as he felt like he lost his eyeball. The beginning of Ryu's dominance in school started with a why, and the answer to that question was simple: he was stronger than the others. The fascination of being worshipped like a god made him hungrier each and every day. As his reputation had proceeded, people from all around the country came with the hope of beating him down, but he was way beyond their grasp. He considered himself to be the chosen one, and he decided to keep the title, which got him up once again on his feet. But even his God-given talent wasn't enough to take down the monster standing in front of him as he woke up in the hospital bed after getting out from the trauma. When Ryu woke up, he realized that every part of his body was broken and bruised, which gave him a feeling he had never felt before. The bitter taste of failure made him bawl and weep just as a 5-year-old would do after losing something. Never in his whole life had Kei thought that he will be wanting someone so badly as much as he wanted to recruit Yu for the pro championship. Just when the gym coach was hoping that Ryu would enter the place to start proving himself, Yu enters the facility with a condition for Mr. Kei. He agreed to fight in the pro boxing in exchange for the treatment money for Jay and Ryu. Kei was happy to hear that Yu didn't think of Ryu as a formidable opponent as he left the gym to see Ryu's condition himself. He could guess that Ryu wouldn't be able to ever recover from the humiliation while Yu was checking up on his friend Jay. After reaching Yu's home, Kei confirmed Yu's name by checking out his birth certificate and hoped to come back with the paperwork in a week. When Yu was preparing to meet the new world of pro boxing, Ryu and Jay faced each other in their broken state in the hospital corridor. Before traveling to the location with Mr. Kei, he decided to give Yu a new hairstyle, and he decided to take his pet cat along with him. After getting off the plane, they both get greeted by Carmen, who is the manager of the Lions Boxing Club gym. She managed to get a small house for him to live in just as he wanted, and Mr. Kei took Yu straight to the gym. The gym is considered to be the holy grail of gyms among boxers for its glorious history, and every boxer practicing in the gym was surprised to see a kid coming in with him. Mr. Kei then introduced Yu to their top trainer along with all the champions he made in his whole life. Mr. Kei decided to take Yu to the championship match of Aaron Tide, who is directly trained by him, so he could learn that another monster like him exists. Yu was given the hope of winning everything in the world by Kei as he intended to make Yu the king of the world. At night, Yu again woke up from the same dream of that blonde guy who motivated him to get stronger so they could meet again. Meanwhile, a guy named Josh was desperate to get his chance to get trained by Mr. Kei so he could begin his career to become a world champion. For that reason, Josh wanted to get into a fight against Yu, and Mr. Kei promised to make his wish come true if he could even graze Yu. Josh was grinning his teeth after seeing the amateur Yu he was going to fight, as he didn't even know how to wrap the armbands. Some of the guys in the gym started underestimating Mr. Kei's ability to pick, and Kei just instructed Yu to not get hit once. The fight started, but everyone felt like Yu was seeing Josh's punches in slow motion when the realization hit Josh, and he knew that Mr. Kei wasn't joking. He tried to calm himself down, thinking that mixing moves and speeding up might help, but it didn't. His continuous efforts over all those years came down crashing in front of him, but Josh wasn't ready to lose yet. In the second round, when Kei instructed Yu to punch his opponent's chin, Yu didn't even take a moment to make second thoughts, and Josh had his lights out in front of him. Josh finally realized that Yu really is on a whole different level, but Yu asked him if he wanted another round. When Josh asked Yu about the guy who was stronger than him, Yu could only see Jay in front of him as he left. After 2 years of endurance training, Yu was supposed to get into the first debut of his whole life, where his opponent was John Taker Ake, the Rookie Killer, the guy who is quite popular for sinking the dreams of newbies trying to make their pro debuts with foul play. When the reporter from Everyday Sports wanted an interview with John, he decided to act more insane and agitated than he normally is. The reporter could guess why the newbies would get confused in their debut fights, judging the behavior of John Taker. But in the end, John Taker himself wasn't so confident about what was about to happen in the future, as he promised his coach that he would put on a good show. The fight started like just every other boxing match around the world, but John was surprised to see that big of a turnout for his match. John was looking forward to seeing everyone's disappointed faces, but he didn't know what was waiting for him. When the match began, John Taker gets taken over by a type of fear which made him feel like a gun was pointed straight at him. John tried to ignore the feeling as he rushed into Yu with the target of hitting him, but countless cuts made by gloves of Yu started cutting into his skin. The fight was stopped by the ringside physician, but he has never seen something like that happening to anyone in his whole life. Since he had no rupture or any broken bones, the physician cleared him to continue the match, but Taker seemed rather distracted. John continued the match with the memories from his childhood when he met someone just like Yu, completely devoid of all emotion. Even in the second round, it happened all over again, and John couldn't wrap his head around thinking if his opponent was real or not. John's coach already knew that he had lost the fight, and he was guessing that Yu was not giving any serious blows intentionally. Everyone was confused about Yu's final step, as he was only toying with him, which bloodied the whole ring. John tries to crush his opponent's foot to make him stop, but it only makes the attacks more ferocious as the audience starts shaming him. John's coach noticed that Yu was in his comfort range to be slugged by him, and he wanted John to prove the crowd wrong. The career of John Taker was always unpredictable because of his average performance and persona, which lacked box office appeal. When he got set up to fight Isaac Dresner, he already knew it was over for him, as he was going to be sacrificed. In the fight, John could see that his opponent only cared about getting the belt, but remembering his past days before joining boxing, he didn't want to lose. Somehow, he was able to hook Isaac's head with his arm, which gave him the unexpected knockdown. The association could realize his potential to become a real prizefighter, and they promised to let most fouls unnoticed in any future matches if he plays the same way he did that day. Not only that, but also, they agreed to arrange matches for him regardless of whether he wins or not, as he will continue to earn more money by playing the villain.